Hello world, just a quick video. So the print finished up last night for the pencil holder, which I made a video about yesterday. As you can see, it's come up pretty good. I like the look of it. I was concerned about the size being a bit too small, as I had made it as large as I could for the bed dimensions of the Coyote Mini. But after putting the pencils and pens in it, the size is perfect. I wouldn't make it any larger. There was a couple of issues. The first issue being the bottom of the print was a bit thin, and what had happened was I'll show you what happened. Take that out of there. As you can see, the bottom came off when I pulled the raft off the bottom of the actual print. So it's got no bottom. And I was a bit unsure what happened at first. And so I went and had a look at my settings on Coyote Cura software and realised that I had increased the layer height to 0.2 millimeters. I've been normally printing at 0.06, and when I increased the layer height, I didn't allow for the extra thickness needed for the bottom and the top. So the bottom printed at 0.3, which is only 1.5 layers of 0.2, which you really need 4 or 5 layers, I feel. And so that's what happened then. And when I peeled the raft off, the bottom just came away with the raft. Interestingly, the raft adhered to the bed really well, but the print started to lift off. I don't know if you can see that. It started to lift off the raft. So I think next time I'll just print it straight onto the bed and see how that goes. I'm going to reprint it. I'll reprint it at 0.2 millimeters because I was quite happy with the smoothness of the print and the way it came out and the detail level at 0.2. I've been printing at 0.06, thinking that 0.2 might be too coarse, because when I see other YouTube channels printing at 0.2, you can really see the layer lines and they're really coarse. I'm wondering if they're printing a lot faster. When you see the print head printing on this model, it's not going very fast. Whether it gives the layers more time to bond together, I don't know, but it's looking good. 0.2 I'm quite happy with for this size model. The other thing that happened was that we've got 3 layers or lines appeared around this model. I don't know if you can pick that up, and I'm not sure what caused that, although it is in line with my little logo on the print here. The logo didn't print very well, and I understand it's probably the overhangs were just a bit too much for it. So I'm going to make some adjustment to that. And the other thing I don't like is it's a bit wobbly and a bit too flexible. So I think this is just a single wall layer thickness. I think I'm going to print it again at 2 layers wall thickness, and I'm going to increase the bottom to 5 layers. I'm also going to flare these feet out more, so to give it more stability, and I'll put my logo on one of those flares. So let's have a look how I would tackle that in Blender. Okay, I've got my model open up in Blender. I want to work on this, but what I do before I send it out to print is I apply a modifier. Well, I've been applying all the modifiers to ensure there's no modifiers on the actual model. That way I can see exactly what I'm going to get. And you can see here, if I turn to flat shading, turn my wire on, the model's fairly dense mesh, but I want that resolution and detail in case someone needs to wants to scale up, because like this model here I think would make a nice lampshade cover if someone wanted to I print it in a more transparent material, and I might do that later on. I might actually turn it into a lampshade cover myself, but for now I keep a version which has had all the modifiers applied, and I keep the original version which still has the modifiers not applied. So I can work on this mesh. You can see it's a low resolution mesh, and start tweaking and shaping it to correct any issues I found when I printed the model. So I'm going to try and pull out these feet a bit more to make it a bit more stable when it's standing on its own. Before I do that, move that logo to another layer. So I've got all those selected. Let's turn it off so you can see the base mesh. And I'm going to scale those out just on the X and Y axis. And in Blender, if I hit scale, I can lock out the Z axis by pressing Shift Z, and now it will only scale on those two axes. So let's see how that looks. I don't like that. I've lost too much of that tapering at the bottom. So I'm going to do another loop cut in here to hold that where it is, and then go back and select these points. S to scale, Shift Z to lock out the Z axes. Yeah, that's better. I like that look of that better. That's nicer. I think that'll stand a lot better. The other thing I noticed was in here, I'd like to see this gap a little bit tighter so that a pencil or a pen can't slip through here. So I'm going to close those up. Scaling, actually I'll do both. Hitting the S key to scale and Shift Z to lock out the Z axis. And this tab is probably not enough. I think I might have to have those basically touching. I'll start there, because what I can do is I can apply the subdivision surface at a lower level and then tweak that mesh further. Okay, that gap's still a little bit large, so what I might do is, before I go any further, I might just make a copy of this move that to another layer, and then go back to my layer, just check that it's there. Yep, it's layer 5, layer 2, okay. So drop this down to 1, and what I'll do is I'll apply that at level 1. So there's no modifier right now, and you'll see it's added more detail to the mesh. So if I close these up again, actually make it a bit simpler. Alright, now let's apply the subdivision surface modifier again, and you can see that's closed it up quite well. I think that will be enough, and it still should print quite nicely. I like to have a look at the subdivisions in flat shaded mode, because if it's in smooth it looks nice and smooth, but when you export as an STL file, this is what it's going to calculate. So I'm going to increase the resolution again, and I think I might go one more. I want a nice smooth file when I print. Okay, I think that's looking good. Now let's reintroduce that logo. I'll move this actually. Move the whole thing to layer 4, and I move this one to layer 1, and I'll grab my little logo, move that to layer 1, and let's see if we can. I think I'd like the logo to be like that sort of angle. So what I'll do, I don't need to see that resolution. I'll turn the wire off. I'll just turn the wire off that. Wire off. There we go. Move the wire on that one so you can see what I'm doing. It's better. Now, just thicken up this area here, using proportional scaling. That's fine. This has to go on here. So I've got the print going for the SD card holder. I'm just checking to make sure it's still cooking along nicely, which it is. Don't know if you can hear it. It's with the enclosure, it's very, very quiet. Turn off proportional editing. See how it looks. It's going to need to be on that angle to print properly. Yeah, I don't mind that. Look in perspective. Yep, it's working for me. Now all I need to do is to weld those together using a boolean. Add a boolean modifier. Select that. Well, I think we might call it quits there. If you have been watching, thanks very much for making it this far. If you'd like to see more videos of me working in Blender, or even a Blender tutorial or getting started with Blender tutorial, in particular for 3D printing, let me know in the comments below. I'm more than happy to do those sort of videos. So thanks again for watching, have a great day, and I'll see you later.